And welcome back to Hoopsville here on another pre-taped show. We apologize we can't be live the last two shows, but we certainly appreciate you taking the time to at least enjoy this. Lots to cover, obviously, in Division III basketball as we're now entering December. We are in December on the 5th here. Celebration of the 80th anniversary of Prohibition being... Anyway, I digress quickly. So we will be live hopefully next week. And, of course, don't forget, when we get into January, Sunday and Thursday shows live on the air throughout the rest of the season. So we hope you'll enjoy us. Don't forget, you can email us with us questions, hoopsville at d3hoops.com. That's hoopsville at d3hoops.com. Don't forget also, you can go to Twitter at d3hoopsville or hashtag hoopsville. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/hoopsville. All those ways of communicating with us. We encourage you the hashtag, by the way, on Twitter. Really encourage that. Hoopsville is the hashtag. We're going to jump into some women's basketball now. And joining us on the Hoopsville hotline, number 5 team in the country, the Whitman women's basketball team, Michelle Ferenz, joins us here. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Appreciate it.
The Missionaries are off to a good start, 6-0 on the season, with a win over St. Thomas to start, though that was a nail-biter to be sure. Of course, wins over Pomona Pitzer, Redlands, UC Santa Cruz, and now you're into your non-D3 schedule. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you got to be pleased with how the team has started the season.
Well, I am. I mean, we had a great finish, obviously, and came back ready to go. And where our challenge has been, it's just it's not real healthy with our depth yet. So we were really pleased to get through, especially those first 4 road games that were all D3 West Region teams. Really pleased to get through those games with victories, obviously. So.
Yeah, I mean, a great way to start. The St. Thomas game, we should point out, was the big one to start, 77-76. Of course, that's another ranked team. And a lot of ranked teams taking each other on early on. That's not necessarily a bad loss for St. Thomas, obviously. It's a good win for your team, but that's got to be the right foot to get off on. You talk about the road games, but just to get that first game on the 15th against a ranked opponent go your way has got to feel good.
Yeah, it was a great game. St. Thomas is really good. The game was played at a very high level, especially considering how early it was. I mean, first game of the year for both teams, and it was a great game. I mean, kids just making great plays, huge plays, hitting big shots, and the kind of stuff you don't really, you don't see till later in the season, and we were really proud to be part of it. It was a great first game, and you're right. It was. We kind of went into the same mentality. This is a great test for us. Win or lose, this is just a great game. It doesn't hurt us. It doesn't, I don't know how much it helps us in the big picture, but it definitely showed us where we were at.
Well, it helps, and it's a West region team as well.
Definitely.
You talked about last year, 23-6 overall. You were 13-3 in a very tough Northwest Conference. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you lose in the Elite Eight to Williams, 63-53. Of course, they go on to the Final Four. So you were on the doorstep. I mean, knocking right there on the door to go to Holland, Michigan. Of course, this year at Stevens Point, Wisconsin. How close do you think this team is? You have 4 seniors on the squad. Can this team take that evolutionary step? Certainly, you got to get past the conference first.
Yeah, that's the danger. You can't look too far ahead in the Northwest Conference. I think the conference will be better this year, top to bottom, than it was last year. I just think every Northwest Conference game is going to be huge. We play back-to-back nights, which is always a challenge. You got to stay healthy. Not going to you got to stay healthy. You got to stay focused. And so, even though you're thinking you have your big goals, and I think this team definitely has. I mean, we have great talent, especially with our senior class, and then Heather Johns, our junior point guard. I think we have great talent. Where we need to focus is developing our depth and continuing to get better, or we won't win in conference. I mean, we'll take some hits in conference if we don't, and I think our kids are very aware of that. So, so right now, you set your goals. You think, wow, postseason, but we're just trying to get better now every day. Yeah. Every day, because that's there just is no, and I just think it's going to be even a more. I think it's maybe a more even conference this year in the Northwest Conference. I think that some teams have grown up. I think there's some coaching changes that have been significant. I think it's going to be a tough road. So we need to be ready. We need to stay focused on that, and then the rest of it will take care of itself.
As you and I talked, George Fox 5-0, Puget Sound 5-2, Whitworth, Lewis and Clark with 3 wins each. Of course, they're going to be in the mix there the whole way.
Definitely.
It's been George Fox, or it has been Puget Sound, or Whitworth has made waves. Lewis and Clark has certainly been part of the conversation. Now yourselves, it's a rotation on who's necessarily at the top, but it's not a rotation necessarily as to who's battling it out. But it's 4 or 5 deep. That's you allude to the fact you can't oversleep, and you don't want to sleep past a Willamette or a Linfield either. But that dogfight at the top is crucial, and really, as much as we probably think an at-large team comes out of this conference, and if not 2, maybe if you're lucky, you really need to win this conference to assure yourself of anything.
In the conference, I think that's one thing. We did get the 2 at-larges last year, and with Lewis and Clark and us making it, Whitworth's getting our automatic, and seen Whitworth a couple times. They're playing great. Our conference, the travel schedule, and just having so many good programs, I think our kids just get tougher and better as the season goes on. I think the challenge is great, so that when we do go to a national level, I think our teams do really well. I think that's part of it. I really do. But it will be a dogfight. That's a good way to put it. We all earn our paychecks in this conference.
Yes.
That way.
Big or small, you certainly earn them.
Yes, we do.
And of course, it for us here on the East Coast gives me a good reason at 11 o'clock at night to go, maybe let me tune into a women's game out there, because I know it's going to be a good battle. You can't always bet on that on the men's side. There's some good games out there, but not necessarily good battles. So let's talk about talk about your team. 4 seniors, as we mentioned. Tiffany Traver, who you mentioned, Traver, I should say, the guard 5'8", for you. And of course, you have Mara. You know what?
Ellen Dogan.
Thank you, because I was going to blow it, and that wasn't going to be fair. Megan White, I like that. That's simple. And then Sarah Anderegg. Also, your 4 seniors, of course, Anderegg 6'2", which is always a nice benefit. But then you also have a good handful of juniors. You have a couple sophomores, a couple freshmen. While you're senior laden and experience laden, you have some depth, at least in numbers of players. How important, though, is this senior class? How important is it to maybe get something done this year?
Well, our seniors have been, we only graduated two very good kids last year who, were great for the program, just bought in and just committed to making us as good as we could be. But, we really relied on our juniors last year, for scoring, and, they're kind of the heart of everything we did. And so, it is. I think for them and for the program, they have high expectations for themselves. They've worked hard. They're playing well. So for me as a coach, I want to help. I want to help them get there. They've worked hard. They just, and I hate to say deserve it, but they've just put themselves in a position to be, to be there. And so now it's part of it is, just continuing to push them, but also, pull the rest of them along. And but I do. Sarah's playing great. You can just see from her stat line. She's she's playing really well. Megan is just rock solid. She is one of the better rebounders I've ever coached. And very undersized. She's not a very good post player. We lived her at 6 foot, but I think we're pretty generous there.
It's a friendly 1 inch bump.
She's not quite, but she just plays. She plays bigger than she is, and Amara and Tiff have just really anchored the backcourt and been solid for us. And so this senior class is one of the best we've ever had. I won't lie. But part of it is too is they just keep getting better. Mm-hmm. They just continue to impress me with their work ethic and their commitment, and they're really all about just helping the team, and that's what's been so much fun about this group the last 2 or 3 years. They've just really pushed and made each other better, and so no change in that. So it's fun to go to practice, and it's fun to work with them. No, I won't lie. It makes my job a lot easier, but also I really enjoy working with this group. I always have. Whitman's got great kids, but this group's really they don't seem to have any fear.
That's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. They have high expectations and they're willing to work for them, and that's half the battle right there.
Of course, Sarah Anderegg, 17.2 points a game so far in the first six, 9 rebounds. You mentioned Megan White, 9.2 points a game, hauling in 7 rebounds. But the one we're not mentioning, she's the junior. Heather Johns played 4 of the 6 games so far, 23.8 points a game, 5.8 rebounds a game, 3.8 assists a game, an assist-to-turnover ratio of 1.4. She's stolen nearly 2 balls a game. If you look past the senior class, Heather Johns is going to stare right at you. Clearly, she's a great added weapon to go along with those 2 players inside.
Oh, she is. I mean, Heather came back, and she transferred in last year as a sophomore, but she just came back in great shape. And again, another kid who just continues to get better. I mean, they're, put some challenges to her about improving certain aspects of her game, and she did. She just went out and got better. Over the summer.
It's a great thing for a coach.
It is. It's a great thing. She's, and to be honest, I mean, Heather's a scorer. I mean, obviously she scored 20-something points a game. She's,
and she's shooting 53%, by the way, as a guard.
Yeah, she's very efficient, very good rebounder, and
of course, 43% from beyond the arc. That's nice too.
It is. She doesn't take. She doesn't force things from the outside. She's part of her game is becoming a better shooter, but also making those choices, making those reads. But she's just elevated her game to another level. Very good athlete, and so our depth. We've had a couple kids hurt. Mar actually came off a knee injury, and so there's been a couple kids hurt that we were kind of relying on for depth. They're just starting to get back, and so Heather and Sarah have probably taken on a lot more of the scoring loads than we probably predicted they would. But that's what you want your leaders to do. You want them to pick up the slack and carry a little bit, and they've done that these first few games. They've just really put the team on their back at times and played at a really high level. So, yeah, Heather's playing great. She's tough to stop. So just ask my guards after guarder every day. She's tough to stop. Making everybody else better too. So
that's not that's an added benefit. As much as you get beat in practice, you're probably not going to see that in a game. Let's quickly talk about the schedule you're in the middle of. You played Walla Walla, you played Concordia, Oregon. You've won those games. You have Corbin College, Eastern Oregon, Warner Pacific. For any of the Division III fans sitting there going, who? Yeah, they're not Division III schools. NAIA's D2 type schools. You're in this stretch where you play 5 of them in a row. You're not in jeopardy of the 70% rule, so all your games will count in region, though all your games are in region. But do you ever worry, and I know the limitations of being in the Northwest are there. Some schools travel to figure it out or somehow get teams to travel to them. But are you ever worry when you look at a schedule, you got 5 games that essentially don't count unless we're really deep into the criteria, that kind of stuff can hamstring you guys just a little bit?
I think it's hard. I mean, it's the reality of playing in the Northwest Conference and being where we are. And you have to balance it with. We have to balance it with the needs of our student athletes. It's hard to get people to come here, and so we went on the road for our first 4 games. Went up to Spokane, and then we went to Santa Cruz to get 4 West Region games. And but we try to balance the need to play those Division III games, those West Region games, with our kids being on campus as well. And it's hard to get. It's hard. I mean, we've teamed up with Whitworth. Helen and I have teamed up, and we co-host tournaments. We try to offer incentives, but we can't travel all the time. Right. And budget-wise, and also for student-athlete welfare, we just can't have our kids on campus. Whitman's a tough school, and academics are a priority, and so it's kind of. You're right, Dave. It's hard. We just don't. Our geography works against us in the way that the NCAA does the criteria, but. I think hopefully, the one thing that plays into the equation is, that our conference has done very well at the NC2As, considering that we're also a conference that doesn't get a lot. We don't get home games in the NC2A either. I mean, we go to the tournament and we maybe host one round. We aren't getting, so we have to go win other places. And, and so hopefully the NCAA looks at some of those things. I think the Northwest Conference has represented itself very well, and we're trying. We try to get out. We try to get teams to come here. Next year we end up with, I believe, 6 of our 9 non-conference being a Division III team, which will help. But it's a challenge. It's a balancing act, trying to keep it all. Trying to keep all the different variables in check, because I would love to have a full D3 schedule, but it's just probably not ever going to happen.
Well, I shamelessly, though I know budget's involved, but the travel's okay because it's after Christmas. I do shamelessly point out that I think a number of the men's Northwest teams will be in Las Vegas this year. So if you ever want D3 Hoops Classic, that's not a bad trip for you guys.
No, it's not. And we vote Minnesota. We'll always travel. We try to travel at least once or twice to get those games. And if we travel for Division III games. We don't travel
absolutely.
To right. And so definitely, it's just a balancing act, and I've been on the committee in the past, and so I completely understand what you're talking about, the criteria and how they crunch it, and hopefully there's some variables in there about just, how good the Northwest Conference has been at the national level the last few years in women's basketball. That hopefully carries some weight. I mean, I think it did, just in terms of we got 3 in last year, and we knocked off Lewis and Clark. So
yes,
so we
not bad on their court.
On their court, and and Lewis and Clark probably was a team that could have won it. If they split us up, we might have been able to, seen each other later in the competition, but we don't have that. That's just not a luxury we've had, and so we always end up matching up.
Well, speaking of that, last year, back to that as we started, 23 wins was a record, 20 wins in the regular season was a record, first trip to the NCAA tournament, and you happen to go to the Elite Eight, and nothing like setting the bar pretty darn high for yourselves. Of course, you had to travel to Williams, and you had an epic game against Emory before falling to Williams in a tough game the next day. But what was the reaction on campus? Again, your first trip to the NCAA tournament, I mean, and you not only go to Lewis and Clark and win both games there, including over the Pioneers, but then you go and you win win another game against Emory in epic fashion on a cross-country trip. Probably your players weren't that familiar with, and then have to face a pretty good team in Williams. I mean, what was the reaction like back on campus, and what's the expectations maybe on campus for what your team can do this year?
Honestly, the campus went nuts. I mean, they were so supportive, and we had huge viewing parties. Cool. Had a huge crowd follow us to Portland. For the Lewis and Clark, we really had a great following there.
Awesome.
Lots of alumni from the area, but also people that drove down from Walla Walla, students and faculty, staff members. And so people were excited. They were excited for the kids. They were excited. We just never had a team sport go. I mean, we were the first ones. And so Whitman got a little taste of how much fun it can be. And, and I think they, obviously now, I mean, we came home, from Williams and was met by a great crowd of faculty and mostly faculty staff with our students from spring break. So we came back and nobody was on campus, but it was exactly kind of knocking on the door like nobody's home. But it was it was, and so this year, I mean, I think I won't lie. I think our team enjoyed the status and enjoyed the community. We won some local awards, some acknowledgement from the local Walla Walla sports associations and such. So a very nice and a very nice finish. It was wonderful. And when our players talk about it, they talk about how supportive Whitman was and the community was. And so this year, obviously, people, they got a little celebrity status. People talk to them, be like, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, I'll be at the game." So you see a little more of that interaction. Our crowds, I mean, we've always gotten great crowds. I think that's one thing that's really an interesting phenomenon about Whitman. We've always had a great following at home. We draw really well. And, so we've always felt the support, but, it was just amazing. The faculty, I took them away 2 weekends in a row during midterms. They probably could have fired me. Honestly, we proctored probably 15 tests in 2 weekends on the road, and the faculty was great. They were so excited for the kids, and I think that's what's really unique about a place like Whitman. We're 1,500 strong. Everybody knows everybody. It's like just one big family, and so So that's how it was. It was just really very supportive, very enthusiastic, very excited. I mean, our faculty know our players. I mean, they really know them, and so they were just very excited for them. And so, yeah, so the expectations are high, and but how you deal with expectations is you just put your head down and you get better,
yeah.
and you enjoy the challenges, and you enjoy the journey that's ahead of you. And to dwell on last year would be to shortchange this year. And
absolutely.
So, yeah, and that's what we're focused on. Is we're different, and our team, I think, we're playing better than we were at this point last year. We're at a different place, but we're just different, and this is a different group of young women, but that doesn't mean that we're having fun, and it has to be fun. It has to be fun, and we have to just continue to enjoy the journey that we're on. So.
Well, quickly before we let you go, speaking of family, mother of three, though luckily they're all older for you, 20, and then your twin daughter's 17. But what I get a kick out of reading the bio is your husband, who's also an assistant coach at the high school in Walla Walla. Former player at UC Davis, and he's your volunteer assistant. So you get to boss him around a little bit, I'm assuming. And being that he's a volunteer, he probably realizes, he's got no skin in this game, technically.
I think he finds. It's funny. This is I've been married 22 years. So my oldest is in college, obviously.
Yep.
Rob is off of college, and then the girls are juniors, and the twins are. And Chris and I have always coached. We have always. I mean, we have had this crazy life going for as long as I'm not sure. I'm not sure the marriage will survive when one of us quits coaching. We see too much of each other. But
that's your couples counseling right there.
There's our couple counseling. I think that's the short change. But it's my husband is. I would love to have him around more. I'll be honest. He's always been so solid for me, and and I think over the years you have your mentors and your people you talk to, and Chris is obviously we're for each other. We've always talked hoops, and I think our kids sometimes get tired of hearing us, but I guess it's part of the
question is, are they playing hoops?
They all three were. My son was a little bit more of a high school football player, but he played for his dad, in high school, and now is out of college. And both of my daughters play, and both have aspirations of playing at the next level. And so love the game. So I think not sure any of them will fall into coaching. I think they'd like to have their nights.
I was going to say they've seen that side. It's kind of like
they have. Yeah. They have. But what a great. But I mean, honestly, and to make it work, you have. I mean, to be a mom and a coach and an educator and all those things you want to be and have as busy a life as I've had, I have to have a partner who gets it.
Sure.
And my husband just gets it. It's never been anything but job sharing on all fronts around here. So, and so that's just how we've operated. But, I wish, like I said, he complains I don't pay him. So he
I thought that might come up.
Yeah, he says he won't officially join my staff and quit at the high school until I actually find a salary for him. And I'm thinking, I'm Division III. I can barely pay the one assistant I have. But,
I was going to say, they're barely paying you.
Yeah, exactly. But he's great, and the kid, and he's my players. My players enjoy having him around. I'm blessed with a great staff. I've got Brian and Casey and Chris are all just great people, and they love the game and they work hard for our program. And so it's probably unique a little bit, but it's just us. That's how we do business, and it's been fun. I'll be honest, it's fun. And it was fun because he was done with his high school season, so when we made the tournament, he was able to go with us last year.
Oh, cool.
And he he thanked me for taking him. I think, well, why wouldn't I take you? You're part of this. You've been there for me for a long time, and you've been there for the program for a long time, and so a lot of our success, is due to his willingness to help. Even if he's not at practice, help, what we watch film together, So it's kind of nice. I have one of my best assistants living in my house.
Yeah.
So it's a unique relationship.
Which means the job never leaves.
It doesn't. It's a good thing we like what we do.
Absolutely.
Definitely. 'Cause, no, you're right. And he helps coach over the summer. So with the club team that my daughters play on, he's been an assistant coach for that program as well. So it's I'm off recruiting and he's there with the girls coaching, and so Yeah, we're not sure what we're going to do. Like,
Very
maybe
nice.
that's when he'll join my staff. He'll need another coaching job.
Yep. Well, good.
Yeah,
I was going to say, good luck to both of you on that front.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. I took much more of your time than I said I would, but I appreciate you joining us and chatting. Certainly looking forward to watching the Missionaries play the rest of the season. Certainly impressive. You're in your 13th season, second longest tenure in the Northwest Conference. So congratulations on that. Congratulations on last year, and good luck the rest of this year. As always, we give the guests the final word on Hoopsville. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuning in?
I just appreciate all that you guys do for D3 athletes. I think that the D3 Hoops, the whole network that you guys have have just become such a resource for our parents and our players and our fans. And I think D3, the level that our kids play at, is truly the student athlete experience. And I think they're awesome and they're special. And I just love the fact that you guys do such a good job promoting them. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's a lot easier to promote them when we can get guests to come on and talk about them, and I couldn't agree with you more. Best student athletes out there. So thanks so much. Good luck the rest of the season. Off to a 6-0 start, as we mentioned. We'll talk to you soon, I am sure.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Yep. Michelle Ferenz joining us here on Hoopsville. When we come back, we're going to stay in the women's basketball theme and talk about a school you probably have not heard of, and it's no fault of your own, but they're making waves this week. We're talking Alverno Inferno. We'll talk to their women's basketball coach coming up. You're watching Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com, the National Association of Basketball Coaches. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville, on Facebook at Facebook.com/Hoopsville, and of course emails at Hoopsville at D3Hoops.com. We'll be back right after this.